Hello, hello, can you hear me? Testing, hello. Okay. Uh, can you hear? Okay, thank you. Perfect. Hmm. Okay, so I'll repeat what I was telling. What I told was that today we'll be talking about medial surface of brain and this particular part, right? It will be having lots and lots of structures. And trust me that normally people will be so confused that where exactly that structure is or from where it goes, where it comes. We'll try to simplify the whole thing in such a way that you remember everything crisply. So at the end, in just one figure, we'll try to label all the structures. And that's how you will be doing the practice. Because if you see in this file, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's it. I just put only these many images. So we'll keep on replicating the images and gradually we'll build the whole whole medial surface, right? So that would be the idea. Few emails which I thought like I must clarify. One or two emails were. I won't say that they were like hate emails, but the question which was asked in a very sarcastic way that why are you unnecessarily going in so much of detail because it is not asked in exam. I would just say that agreed. They might not ask you all the things in the form of say that you label all these structures, but say are you studying only for the exam, right? If that is the case, so yes, I would say you won't need to go into so much of detail. But yes, if you really want to study the things properly, and trust me, in final year you will bless yourself, because when you will be knowing all the structures properly, the medicine will become so easy. So that's why I would just say in one word, trust me, learn at this point of time, you will be very happy in final MBBS. Okay, so one email, one two emails were regarding this. And another is when I say learn by drawing. Over here, the images which I'll put, then you also try to draw in the same style. And this is one of the very fast method and very effective method to understand the things, right? Okay, as we proceed, you'll automatically know. So here is the medial surface of the brain. So that's the reference that if this is one cerebral hemisphere, this is the second cerebral hemisphere, and when we cut, right, this would be like a sagittal cut, correct? This will be like a sagittal section, and in sagittal section we cut and then we see. So this is what we see, right? This is we are watching the medial surface, right? This is the medial surface, right? This is the medial surface. So we are watching, this is anterior, right? This is anterior, this is posterior. So that means we are watching the right half of the brain. The way this is the right half, exactly same way there would be the left half. And when we combine both of them, that is the full brain. So we are watching the right half. Any of the sectional imaging sections, when we study the sections, right, it helps you a lot when you will be learning about sectional radiography, that is CT scan, MRI, PET scan, all those things, right? So here it is. Let's simplify it in first part, right? This top portion, this portion, right, that portion is cerebrum, right? So very easy to figure out that it is the cerebrum. Similarly, easy things, this would be the cerebellum, correct? Cerebellum. And combine all together, that is the midbrain pons and the medulla oblongata. So that is what we call as the brain stem. Brain stem, right? Now this area, which is over here, right? This area, right? This area, that is the area which is called as the diencephalon. Diencephalon, right? So there is no structure like Bhut Kephalon or Pishach Kephalon, right? So this is diencephalon. It has got nothing to do with occult studies, right? But it is called as diencephalon. And the thalamus and the hypothalamus, they will be the members of this area, right? Apart from this, there will be subthalamus, epithalamus, but in this section, we'll be able to see thalamus and the hypothalamus plus the interthalamic adhesions. It is this part, right? It will come. So let's go into the depth of every part, starting with the seri, third ventricle, and all those things. Because see, that is over here, right? This part. Today we'll not be touching the ventricular system, right? Because by the time we'll finish, it would be almost, say, our this time would be up. So tomorrow we'll be learning the whole ventricle system. So both the lateral ventricles, then that because not only the ventricle, in fact, in between there'll be aqueduct of Sylvius, right? Third ventricle, all those things will be studied tomorrow. So today we won't be touching the ventricular system. Just we'll mention about septum pellucidum in brief. Tomorrow we'll be discussing it at length. Okay, so let's start with the structures, right? So here it is. This is cerebrum, right? So that is cerebrum. In cerebrum, we know that central sulcus. That central sulcus is this. Right? Let's take a black one. This one. That's central sulcus, right? Now, if this is the central sulcus, then there is one more sulcus which is of utmost interest. It is this. There will be one more sulcus which is over here. So let's name them, because just naming them will clarify every part of it, right? And we add few more. This, let's add one more sulcus over here and one more sulcus here, right? So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 main sulcus. Let's name them. Starting with this first one, right, which is known, that is the central sulcus. So I'm just writing central because we are all are sulci, right? All are sulci. So we are, every time we'll not write central, sulcus, right? So central. This one, that one would be marginal. So that one would be the marginal sulcus, right? This is called as the paracentral sulcus, right? So this one would be the paracentral sulcus, right? 3 down, 2 to go. This one, the easiest name, parieto-occipital. Parieto-occipital sulcus. And last one, right? That is also called as the calcarine sulcus. It is called as the calcarine sulcus. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the sulci. What we are trying to do is we are trying to learn the cerebrum, right? Now cerebrum, as we know, that it has got multiple lobes. So lobes of cerebrum, one would be the frontal lobe, right? Then parietal, occipital, right? Occipital, then temporal, then insular, right? Insular. And over here, we'll be getting one new lobe, and that is the limbic lobe, right? Limbic one. That's what we'll see, the limbic lobe. So let's start with the frontal lobe first, right? And let's mark it. This is, say, we start drawing it all the way from the marginal sulcus. So this is what it is comprising of, right? Over here. This one, right? So that's, it makes sense, right? This would be our frontal lobe, right? Now in frontal lobe, so that's frontal. frontal lobe. It is divided into two parts. One part which is before paracentral, one part which is after paracentral. This one, this portion, right? That one would be the parietal lobe. Parietal lobe. This one, this whole thing, this whole thing is the occipital lobe. Here it would be the temporal lobe, right? And the limbic one, right? That limbic is this limbic. That one would be the limbic lobe. So say not only this much, so I am copying this image, right? So let's duplicate this and we move on to the next page to make things much clearer. So now as we know this part, right, I'm removing this. Okay, so here it is already there. So that's why we are removing it. That's how we'll keep on building it one after. So here we create some space. So that entire focus remains only on the frontal lobe. Even this is fine. Achha. Okay. Now see, I'm dividing it into two parts, right? One which is over here and second which is behind it is, right? This interior one, it is called as the medial frontal gyrus, right? That is medial frontal gyrus. And this which is after this paracentral sulcus, that is what is called as the paracentral lobule, right? So this one is paracentral lobule. The understanding should go something like this, that this paracentral lobule, as such, if you see, right, this central sulcus is in between. Now you know that before central sulcus it was the motor area. That is how we learnt into the lateral surface, right? Motor area, and after that it is sensory. So if we try to put the Brodmann's area into this, so motor area was area number 4, sensory was area number 3, 1, 2, correct? Right, these were the areas. So this paracentral lobule, remember, it is combination of both the things. Paracentral lobule is like this. It's like this when you are watching from the medial aspect. When you are watching from the lateral aspect, things are different, right? But over here, this paracentral lobule is like where the central sulcus is in between. Aage ka part is that motor and the behind one is the sensor, right? Somatosensory. So area 312 behind and this one is in front. So that is the paracentral lobule. Why it happens? We talk about it in a minute. But the medial frontal gyrus, right? Medial frontal gyrus. So over here, our whole idea is this paracentral sulcus, right? That is what is dividing. The function. What would be the function of this medial frontal gyrus? So crucial. It is meant for focus, right? It is meant for focus. So function, it is meant for focus, focusing. So whenever you will find that dementia, right, you will always think about that frontal one first because it is associated with memory, the coordination, and the focus. Crucial one. Right? Regarding the paracentral lobule, we talked about that it is a combination of what? It is a combination of two things, and that is the motor and the sensory, right? We'll talk about it more. First, we are just going for the orientation. What was the name, right? The name of this particular sulcus, that is what is called as the marginal sulcus, right? Marginal. So marginal sulcus, it is like the end. It is the final end of the frontal lobe. After that, parietal would start. correct? So this central sulcus, which was a major sulcus on the lateral surface, that central sulcus is just this small one, just this much, right, on the medial aspect. So that was the reason why we were emphasizing so much on the lateral surface, right? That is in lateral surface, if you know the things well, then it would be much easier to coordinate. Meantime, let's add one more new word into this. This portion, this one is called as the cingulate gyrus. Cingulate gyrus, right? So that cingulate gyrus, how it is going? Well, here it is. If you extend the marginal sulcus, I'm putting it in the form of dots, right? If you extend the marginal sulcus, it is giving the formation of a new sulci, right? A new sulcus, and that sulcus is called as the cingulate sulcus, correct? You got the idea, right? This one, that is cingulate sulcus. So it's like marginal sulcus, it proceeds further and it gives cingulate sulcus. Below the cingulate sulcus is the cingulate gyrus. Above the cingulate sulcus, there is medial frontal gyrus. Right? Clear? Okay. On to the next one. When we talk about the areas, right? So they are called as the Brodmann's area. They are called as the Brodmann's area. Brodmann's area. And all these areas, they are having very specific function. Today we'll be learning lots and lots of areas and you won't have to cram it. You'll remember it by itself. But why are these areas following exactly the pattern of sulci and gyri? Not. No. These Brodmann's area, remember, they are defined by cellular architecture. They are defined by cellular architecture. Literally histology, right? Histology. What type of cells? So when we talk about, say, this frontal one, so let's talk about this frontal. So this one would be, so as I draw, keep talking to yourself that this is what this is, paracentral, right? This is paracentral sulcus. And as we draw, right, what we are drawing, we drew this cingulate sulcus, correct? That's a cingulate sulcus. And then it is taking a turn, right? So this is all going on for frontal one. And the areas would be, say this is the area 6, area 8, area 9, area 32, right? Now this 32, remember, right? Just keep in mind this 32, very typical, because here it is 32, so on the back side there would be area 31, right? So every area, the numbers, they have got a meaning. So let's see 6, 8 and 9, what will they be doing, right? 6, 8 and 9. 6 is, say, which area would be over here, right? Which area would be over here, right? Would be over here. Can you see it? Over here, huh? Over here, it would be area number 4. Area number 4, that is part of the primary motor cortex. So we just write it over here that 4 was primary motor cortex, right? That's what we study even into the lateral projection. So this 6, 8 and 9, what they are doing, the 6 is premotor, right? 6 is premotor. Makes sense? 8, there is always the associated area, right, which will be helping. So 8 is motor association, right? And this 9, that is anterior, right? This is anterior area, right? So this will call as the anterior prefrontal cortex, right? Anterior prefrontal cortex. But this 32, right? 32 I am writing separately. 32. This 32 is associated right over here. This is what? This is cingulate gyrus. This is cingulate, right? Cingulate gyrus. So this is into the anterior part of cingulate gyrus, right? So I would say this is dorsal anterior cingulate gyrus, right? But this is part of frontal, so I'll just change this thing to cortex because we are more interested into those similar functionality of those cells. So remember, this is anterior cingulate cortex. So when we'll be discussing cingulate cortex from its physiology point of view, right, all these things will automatically start making the sense. But remember, this 32 is into the anterior part, right? That is the anterior cingulate cortex, right? So far, everything is clear, right? And do remember, right? Do keep on revising. When I just mark it over here, so yes, this is what? This is paracentral sulcus, right? What is this, right? What is this? This one, that is the marginal sulcus. This small one, yes, that is the central sulcus, correct? And then all the way it goes like this one, yes, that is the cingulate sulcus. This something which is dividing this parietal lobe from the occipital lobe, this one, right? So that is parieto-occipital sulcus, right? And this which is dividing the occipital lobe into parts, and that is what is called as the calcarine sulcus, right? Okay, so far so good. Moving on to the next part. When we say this paracentral, right? The paracentral, and this in between, right? In between both of them, that is the in between paracentral sulcus and the central sulcus, there is paracentral lobule, right? This is the anterior one was medial frontal gyrus, right? This one was the medial frontal gyrus, right? And this portion, right? I'll put it in black. This is paracentral lobule. Paracentral lobule is what? Paracentral lobule is that there is central sulcus and surrounding it, right? This entire lobule which is having motor and the sensory, right? So let's pick up. Yeah, we have got so many images. Let's focus now on only on this much area. This is the central, right? So area which is in front, right? This is area 4. Area 4 is what? It is primary motor, right? And then we have got the somatosensory. Then there are association of somatosensory, right? This is area 5. That would also be over here because that is also a somatosensory association. So how is it going? This portion, what is called as the paracentral lobule, right? Crystal clear, sorry, color, yeah, now it's okay. Paracentral lobule, right? That's what we are watching in this area, and it has got Brodmann's area. What? 1 is 4. 4, so you know it very well, right? It is primary motor cortex. And if you know that, so you know even area number 3, 1, 2, right? They all are primary somatosensory, correct? Primary somatosensory. We have got one more area, that is area number 5, that is for the association, right? Somatosensory association. So we'll just say somatosensory association. Very important today, you keep on talking with yourself. Yes, this is clear, right? So paracentral lobule, its function will be what? Right, this is very important area because this is on the medial aspect, right? When it is on the medial aspects, its function is like it controls motor and sensory of opposite lower limb, right? So it controls, right, say motor and sensory. Yes, right, because say it is having area 4 and area 312, so it controls both of them, right, of opposite side of lower limb, right, lower limb. So that's how every part of the body it is mapped, right? So this part is clear. Let's go on to meantime, just this is which sulci, this is which sulci, this is which sulci, right? You should know it, right? Paracentral, then central, and the marginal. Perfect. On to the next one. We need to duplicate this image, duplicate, right? Because we'll be requiring more of such images. What happened? Overloaded? Sorry. It crashed again. Yep. Oh, just a minute, just a minute. It'll take a minute. Because we'll be requiring so many images. Right? So what we really do is, let's replicate more of them. To duplicate. Bus. Now it is fine. Huh. So coming back to this, and let me save it. So coming back to where we left out, right? We talked about this paracentral lobule. Clear? Now we talk about this part. We'll draw it over here and then we'll discuss it on the next image, right? It is this part. Mhm. Mhm. Oh no, what's happening? So sorry. All right. Just give me I'm closing this and starting again this software. Like just 1 minute. Ah, now it's right. Good. Sorry. Should not happen, but bad. Okay. Right, so we were talking about this paracentral lobule. It is having motor and the area 3, 1, 2 and 5, 3, 1, 2 is primary somatosensory and 5 is the somatosensory association. Right, now we are talking about this area. This one, which is this posterior to it. Obviously, this is what? This is parietal. Right? This is parietal. So this parietal area is now we are picking it up over here. So that would be the parietal one. This is the marginal and this is the parieto-occipital. So we are dealing with the area which is like this, right? So we are talking about this area. Though it is parietal, the name would be different. It is called as the precuneus. Precuneus. So precuneus is, so that means the area which would be next to it would be cuneus. Yes, that's right. So this area which will be over here, that would be called as the cuneus. Okay. How about the areas, right? This is area 7 and area 31. Right? Area 7 and area 31. Well, 7 is fine, right? 7 is okay. 7 could be what? Well, it is near to that somatosensory, right? Because this was the area number 5. This was the area number 3, 2, 1, right? This was the 4. So this is 7. 7 is same somatosensory association, right? This is somatosensory association. Okay. But what about 31? The moment we say 31, we do remember that area 32, right? Area 32, which was 32 was over here, right? This was 32, right? This is 31. That was what? That was dorsal anterior cingulate cortex. This one would be dorsal posterior cingulate cortex. Got it? Right? See, this is the thing. This is, so this one and this one. Focus on that, right? So here, this was dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, and this 21, it is dorsal, right? This is 31, dorsal posterior cingulate cortex, posterior cingulate cortex. And where is cingulate? Well, cingulate is here. This is the cingulate gyrus, right? That one is the cingulate gyrus, and one which is just above it is the cingulate sulcus. And cingulate sulcus is the continuation of marginal, right? Marginal, one who is forming the margin between frontal and the parietal, right? Parietal, we are talking it as precuneus. Got it? We are talking it as a precuneus. So this is completely clear, right? On to the next one. We talked about frontal, parietal. Now is the time for this occipital, right? So it is this area, occipital. So without saying it is, and the occipital area is associated with vision, right? Visual cortex. So let's take it separately like this. This, and this one is cerebellum. So we are talking about this part, right? So this is occipital lobe, right? That's the calcarine sulcus. This one, right? This one is the calcarine sulcus. The portion which is between parieto-occipital sulcus, this one is parieto-occipital sulcus. So area between parieto-occipital sulcus and the calcarine sulcus, right? That is called as the cuneus, right? That is called as the cuneus. Now this entire area, it is having few very classically arranged Brodmann areas. You have to actually write it like this: 17 near the calcarine sulcus, then on both the sides 18, and on the both sides 19. The reason is the cellular architecture will go something like this, that these type of cells, they will be over here, then another type of cells, they will be like this, and then they will be like this. So because these Brodmann areas are based on the cellular architecture, this is the reason why the numbers are arranged like this. So what will they be doing? The 17, this is primary visual cortex, right? This is the primary visual cortex. Now, when we'll be discussing the visual pathway, we'll find that there is primary and the secondary, right? So this 18 would be the secondary visual cortex, right? Secondary visual cortex. And 19, as we were discussing that association part, so this is visual association cortex. Association cortex, because all our senses, they are associated with each other. In visual cortex, right, they are also named as V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, right? So very simple. This one is called as the primary is V1, secondary is V2, and then all associations, they are associated with that V3, V4, V5, right? So this is how all those areas, they are linked. So do remember this, that again, rest of the areas, so you'll remember it automatically, but do remember this is 32, right? This one is 32, and just in front of this 19, that one is 31, right? And yes, this one is cingulate, right? That is the cingulate gyrus. The temporal lobe, right? That is this over here. That is the temporal lobe. Sorry. Now this cingulate gyrus, which we are talking since long, it is one of the very important system that of, it is the part of limbic system. It is part of the limbic system. When we'll be discussing the physiology of memory and emotions, right, this is where it will come into picture. But one thing you must have noticed, right, the limbic system, because it is associated with memory and emotions, right? Now think it like, you will always remember the things which you love, right? You'll always remember the things which you love. So that's the reason, because when the emotions are involved, right, you will always remember it. That's the reason that when we are watching any of the movie, right, we feel so much that we start remembering all the dialogues. We start remembering even what dress was worn, right? We start remembering everything, even though we have not revised. This is the thing, right? Memory and emotions, they are very closely associated. So this is the function of this cingulate gyrus, which is part of the limbic system, right? It's part of the limbic system. Above it, that was the name of the sulcus, so that was cingulate sulcus, right? Let me introduce one more part, and this, which is this white portion, which is just below it, right? It is what is called as the corpus callosum, right? Corpus callosum. Just keep in mind, right? We are coming in more detail with it. So step by step, I'll keep on adding one by one the structures into it, right? So that is the corpus callosum. Achha. Meantime, let's go for on a separate page, right? So I'll just duplicate. So we have got one more image. Focusing only on cingulate, right? Only on cingulate. Let's add the numbers first. The number which was area number, this was 32. So 32 was what? That was the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, right? Then there was 31, right? Area 31, which was behind. I think we have to write it here, right? Which was behind. Let's demarcate the border of this entire cingulate one. So here it goes. From the marginal, right? This was the marginal sulcus, and here it starts. This is nothing but it is the cingulate sulcus, right? Takes turn all the way, right? Now over here it goes back, and this is the area, and it goes like this. But this portion, right? Then it gets terminated at this point. In fact, we have to just take it over here, right? Like, yeah, now it is okay. This is the cingulate one, right? It is cingulate gyrus isolated. Let's add the numbers into it. the Brodmann's areas number. 32, 31, the next number would be 33, and that 33 is here. That 33 is here. What this 33 would be? This 33. 32 was dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, right? 32 was dorsal anterior cingulate, 31 was dorsal posterior cingulate. This 33 is anterior cingulate cortex. 33, right? This is anterior cingulate, or if we write it over here, right? Let's write it here. Okay? Anterior cingulate cortex, right? So 32 was dorsal anterior, 31 was dorsal posterior. Things don't end at this point. This 33, right? In fact, over here it is area 24. Over here it is area 23. So this whole thing, collectively, the whole thing all the way, this is what is called as the anterior cingulate cortex. So not only the area 33, but over here we write plus area 23 and 24 also. So plus 23 plus 24, collectively this is anterior cingulate cortex, right? So 32, 31, you know it very well. Achha. The 25th number, which we are about to write over here, 25th, right? It is below. So this 25, it is called as infralimbic cortex, right? It is infralimbic, because this is basically the limbic system. So it is just underneath. So infralimbic cortex. This automatically tells that cingulate gyrus that is associated with the limbic lobe or the limbic system, right? So this is the infralimbic cortex. It means that this area will be going underneath, right? So we have talked about anterior cingulate, we have talked about dorsal anterior, dorsal posterior, right? So 31 was what? 31 was dorsal posterior cingulate cortex. Okay? If that is dorsal posterior cingulate cortex, so then where is posterior cingulate cortex? Because over here for the anterior cingulate cortex, so we settled the thing. You know, we settled it. That is 33, 34. But so this rest of the area, what is left out, right? And this posterior portion, this, so we have to write down 29 over here. This 29, right? This 29, this one, this 29 is posterior cingulate cortex. So now everything crystal clear, right? This is like dorsal anterior cingulate cortex. 33, 24, 33, they are the anterior cingulate cortex. 33 mainly, right? 31 was dorsal posterior cingulate cortex, and 29 is posterior cingulate cortex. This entire thing, and obviously this is infralimbic cortex, this entire unit, right? This entire unit is forming the limbic system, right? Next one, we said that just below it, it is what? Corpus callosum, right? It is the corpus callosum. This one, this is corpus callosum. What is corpus callosum, right? Before we dive into that, what exactly is corpus callosum, let's name something. And we are naming it because it will be much easier to understand. This upper, this above this one, what was the name? Cingulate sulcus, correct? Cingulate sulcus. So then if we really have to name the sulcus which is over here, right? Listen carefully. The sulcus between cingulate gyrus and between the corpus callosum. That means I'm now changing the color. It is this we are talking about. This one, right? This red line. So that would be very easy. It would be sulcus of corpus callosum, right? Sulcus of corpus callosum. Right. So we have corpus callosum, sulcus of corpus callosum, cingulate gyrus, and the cingulate sulcus, right, in that order. Good one. Changing the focus straight away to a new concept, because we are talking about corpus callosum. Now see, the new word which is coming up is, it is what is called as the commissure. Commissure. Commissure means something which is connecting. It is like a bundle of nerve tissues which are connecting both the hemispheres, right and left. They both are connecting both of them. Various commissures are there, right? There would be anterior commissure, posterior commissure, habenular commissure. Then this corpus callosum itself is a commissure. But commissure basically means hemispheres connected, right? Hemispheres connected. So it would be obviously the nerve tissue, right? Or the band of nerves. So in our brain, we have got this corpus callosum. This is first, and this one is the largest commissure, right? It is the largest commissure. Do we have to remember others also, though they are very small? But yes, we have to remember, and they are like second one. It is the anterior. I'm not writing commissure every time. So anterior commissure, then there would be the posterior commissure, and then, so this is 3, this is 3, and this one would be 4, and it is called as the habenular commissure, right? Habenular commissure. These are the 4 commissures. We'll watch all of them. Now, if we really draw, right? If we look at the base, so then say this is like those cerebral hemispheres, and in the anterior portion, we'll find that that's the location of anterior commissure, right? I'm sorry, corpus callosum, right? So because this is the largest, so this would be the corpus callosum situated anteriorly. This one is corpus callosum, right? We are watching, this is from the basal view. So that's how we are looking at it. Where would be the anterior commissure and where would be the posterior commissure? Obviously, they will be located into the anterior and posterior part, right? So let's add them into this only. So for that, first we need to draw the corpus callosum. So this corpus callosum is this, right? Is this is the whole corpus callosum, right? That's why the largest one. Taking a red pen. This part, right? You saw this. This is anterior commissure. This one, that is anterior commissure. Posterior will be situated posteriorly. So many structures are over here, right? And in this much small area, actually there'll be so many structures. So let's zoom this so that you watch it very cleanly what exactly is. I'll name all of them together, right? Then we'll be discussing, right? So let me take a very fine thin pen, right? Thin pen, so that we write it properly. See, such a structure, something like this, then this, right? All the structures, they are got a meaning. This part, right? This is posterior commissure. That's posterior commissure, right? Then there is a small portion which is over here, right? It is called as the habenular commissure. Habenular commissure. This part. Then there is a very small gland over here, right, which is situated. This is pineal gland. Right? Over here, this portion, that is where the ventricles will be there, third ventricle, right? What produces that CSF, and that CSF goes all the way from the lateral ventricle, then it goes to the third ventricle, then it goes to the fourth ventricle, right? All it passes. So this is one duct, right? This is one duct. Just keep in mind that there is a duct, right? Which area is this? This is midbrain, right? This is midbrain, right? Then this would be the pons, right? So just behind the midbrain, right, there is a small duct which is going on. Tomorrow we'll be discussing this duct at length. But this particular duct, right, over here, there is a sort of plate. This is a sort of, you can say, plate. That plate is called as the quadrageminal plate, right? Quadrageminal plate. Don't worry, in any case, right now, right, just after a few minutes, all these structures will come up again, but this is to give you a complete picture that where exactly things are, right? And then do you see two prominence, right? Two prominence. This is like a bulge. This is like a bulge, right? Quadrageminal plate is like a cloth, and then when there is something inside, so it will bulge, right? So same thing over here. This is this first bulge, and then there is a second bulge. Right? They are called as the colliculus. They are called as the colliculus. One is superior, one is inferior. So very rightly, we'll be calling this as superior colliculus, and one which is over here, that is what is called as the inferior colliculus. Superior colliculus, something which is associated with vision. Inferior colliculus, something which is associated with auditory function. For few seconds, right? Don't think like a doctor. Think like an engineer, right? As if you are making a microprocessor. If you are making a microprocessor, right, and if you know that this unit, this is your central processing unit. Okay, we should have copied this image. No problem, right? So if this is a central processing unit, so there would be first the inputs, right? The input will be coming from hard drive, input will be coming from your keyboard, mouse, right? From everywhere the inputs are coming, and then there would be the output. These superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, they are just like that. That what's the function of thalamus? Basically, thalamus is nothing but it is a very powerful relay system, right? Relay system. All the sensations except smell, right? Except smell, all sensations, they come to thalamus. Thalamus would relay it, and then it will send it to cortex. So this superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, superior will take care of the visual. So all the visual sensations, they will be coming via superior colliculus. All the auditory sensations, right? Whatever you hear, they will be coming via inferior colliculus. Everything will be given to the thalamus. Thalamus will process, and then it will take to the higher level, right? So that's the reason this is like your thalamus, right? So if you think from this perspective, so it's like, see, there is anterior commissure, there is posterior commissure. What posterior commissure will do? Posterior commissure will be having all those small nuclei, right? So they'll be talking with the opposite half of the brain. So acha, right half means right ear listen this, left ear listen this, and that's how. What about motor and sensory? Both, right? Even they also come, because thalamus is not handling only sensory, it is handling motor and sensory both. But the superior colliculus and inferior colliculus, they are respectively handling visual and the auditory part, right? That's what I wanted to emphasize, that thalamus handles both the things. It is not only motor or not only nuclei, both of them, right? So they are all handled by thalamus because it is a strong relay center. Perfect. Duplicate. We'll be requiring more images. So in one single shot, let's clean this. And we make one more copy of it. Okay. Before putting this file into our shared folder, right, what I'll do is, right, I'll take this page before these two, or just it is a matter of 10 seconds. Okay, done. Right. So that was about the commissures, right? These commissure. So habenular commissure, posterior commissure, right? You might have to zoom this area. You have to zoom this area to see all the commissures properly. Clear? So habenular commissure, posterior commissure, and the superior inferior colliculus, quadrageminal plate, midbrain pons, and the pineal gland. This is what we saw. Let's dive deep. The fresh image. When we talk about the thalamus, right? So when we say diencephalon, when first time when you hear this, we laughed so much. Dian, right? Actually, we asked this question, Kasha, is there anything like bhut cephalon and pishach cephalon? But no, it is just the diencephalon. It is this thalamus and the hypothalamus. Yes, we have to discuss thalamus and hypothalamus in good detail, but let's figure out where exactly are they. This is the area. This portion, this is the thalamus, right? That's why, see, all of those things, they are connected to it by those commissures and superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, everything is getting connected. And this part, just underneath is the hypothalamus. That is the hypothalamus. That's thalamus, that's hypothalamus. Thalamus, we talked about that it is like a relay center, right? It is like a relay, except smell, right? Just remember this, except smell. So that is thalamus. What about the hypothalamus? Hypothalamus carries so many functions, right? Huge, big list. Right from the body temperature, right? Perception of temperature, then the hunger, right? Thirst, all the standard things, right? Then the mood, then the sex drive, right? That is all handled by this hypothalamus. Even it has got effect on say sleep, right? Sleep. Say it runs in close association with even this pineal gland, because this pineal gland, right, as we are talking about, pineal gland is over here. It is a single gland, right? This was the pineal gland, this one, right? So pineal gland, it is for the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is like body clock or the biological clock. Every morning, right, if you wake up at 4 o'clock, right, you don't put the alarm, you'll automatically wake up at 4 o'clock, right? Because there is a very beautiful biological clock which is going on. In before some time, I told you about that, yes, you should write your diary, right? When you say, "Acha, how do I manage my time?" All of you are super intelligent. You must have seen so many books on time management. You must have read and heard so many lectures and articles on biological clocks. So many presentations you must have seen. You know that time is important, but still time is not getting managed. By the end of the day, you feel like, no, my productivity was not as fantastic as it should have been, right? Why it happens? We understand that time is important. It is okay if you spend few hundred rupees, because you will earn much more than that. You waste 5 minutes, you won't earn that 5 minutes back, whatever the amount you spend. Why it happens? It is because we don't realize that what is our biological clock, what is our circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm, it goes up and down, it goes up and down, it is always in the form of waves, right? Now you before some time, some of you said, even the mails were there, that why don't we take the lecture in the evening hour. Now trust me, My circadian rhythm is like in the morning hours. My morning hours are my best time, right? My energy level is fine. As the days go, I watch movies, right? And just before I was starting, right? Right now I'm watching a serial called Liaison, right? Liaison, that is on the Apple TV. Amazing, right? It is on cybercrime and a very tacky serial, right? Every Thursday a new episode is released. Every Friday a new episode is released. So I'll be spending time in the evening hour for that. Something when I am relaxed, right? I'll play my synthesizer. I'll play some few video games, but not for more time. But this is like the but the morning time, yes, I know that this is the best. So I'll be utilizing it in a best possible way. How do you know it? Start writing the diary. Start writing how do you feel in the morning, afternoon, right? Keep on writing and then see after 3 or 4 days, automatically you'll be knowing that which is my best time. And that best time, don't give it to anyone, right? Utilize that best time in its best possible way, right? Stay away from the phone, right? Because see, if someone is bored, right, he is talking to you or she is talking to you, and unnecessarily your time, your precious time, the time which is where your energy level is at its peak, it is getting wasted, right? So never give that time to anyone, right? It is your best time. So spend it in a best possible way. But this is the thing, because your efficiency would be much higher when your rhythm is at its peak. Right? And when already the energy is low, fine. You try to read, you try to study, you'll find that efficiency is not that good. Right? So then enjoy. Right? So that is how this is like a very simple secret, but very effective. Right? Just do it and you'll automatically come to know कि हाँ, it is easy to implement. Right? अच्छा. So we talked about diencephalon. Diencephalon is the thalamus and the hypothalamus. The next structure which we are about to learn is this. Again, I have to zoom it. Do we have one another image or this is the last one? Okay, let's copy it. Duplicate page. We'll be requiring it. Huh. Zoom it. Watch this area. This one. This one. Right? This one. Correct? And parallelly, you have to watch one more area, and it is this one. Both these areas are so far, है ना? This is called as the fornix, and this one is called as the mammillary body. But when it is said that mammillary bodies, they are connected with fornix, and we keep on thinking kahan se, means where are they connected, right? They are so far, right? And this mammillary body, it is part of limbic system, part of limbic system. So where is it, right? Basically it is into the floor of diencephalon, correct? Because this is the diencephalon, this is the thalamus, this is the hypothalamus, so its floor, this is what is called as the floor. So where is this mammillary body? We'll say in the floor of diencephalon. ठीक? To solve the mystery of that how exactly are they connected, right, we will draw one image. So this is one mammillary body, right? They are on both the sides. This is another mammillary body. It goes like this and this, right? From both the sides, they both get connected, and then there is central fornix which goes like this. So when you take a midline section, actually you just see this portion. You just see this portion when the section is taken, right? Because those mammillary bodies, they are arranged like this, and then they combine together, and then the fornix, it goes like this, right? So this is the reason that it would really look like this, right? A part of, important part of, say, limbic system. Acha. We can't miss this. We can't miss this. Right. This one. This is pituitary, right? This is pituitary gland. And pituitary gland is situated into a space, and that space is called as the sella turcica, right? Sella turcica is nothing but in sphenoid bone, right? There is a gap, right? There is a pouch sort of area. So in sphenoid bone, right? In sphenoid bone, this is like a pouch, right? Bony pouch, bony area, and that's this our pituitary gland will be sitting over here. That would be the place for pituitary, right? That's where the pituitary sits. This pituitary. Pituitary gland is divided into two parts, right? Anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary, right? Anterior pituitary, A for A. It is also called as the adenohypophysis, right? Adenohypophysis. What about the posterior? Posterior is called as the neurohypophysis, right? Neurohypophysis. Now, adenohypophysis or the anterior pituitary, it will be having lots and lots of type of cells. So they are called as the corticotrophs, gonadotrophs, thyrotrophs, lactotrophs, somatotrophs, right? So all of them, depending upon the type of cell, they'll keep on releasing those hormones. Hormones are put directly into the bloodstream. This anterior pituitary, right? If we really draw it like this, right? This anterior pituitary, it has got so many rich, very vascular, right? Rich vascularity. So it has got small vessels, and these hormones, they are directly put into the blood, right? So over here, which are the hormones which are released by adenohypophysis? They will be, say, adrenocorticotrophic hormone, ACTH, right? Then TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Gonadotrophs will be releasing luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone, right? Then the prolactin, right? Prolactin, that would be by lactotrophs, right? Then very important, growth hormone, right? Growth hormone, that would be by somatotrophs. And one more, it will also be stimulating, I will be releasing that melanocyte stimulating hormone, right? Melanocyte stimulating hormones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 7. These are the 7 hormones which are released by adenohypophysis. What about the neurohypophysis? 2, right? 1, that would be oxytocin, right? 1 would be the oxytocin. And second, the vasopressin, right? I am writing vasopressin here. Vasopressin here. Because vasopressin is what? It is ADH, right? Antidiuretic hormone. Vasopressin is antidiuretic hormone. And the any deficiency of it, what leads to diuresis, and that is what is called as the diabetes insipidus, right? It is called as the diabetes insipidus. Diabetes mellitus, that is, mellitus means sweet. So that is what is related to the sugar level, blood sugar. This is diabetes insipidus. Insipidus. Okay, in endocrine, we'll discuss about it. But say this oxytocin. Oxytocin is very interesting. Oxytocin, it is important from that it leads to uterine contraction, right? It leads to uterine contraction. That is one. Then it leads to let down of milk during the milk flow, right? That is during the breastfeeding. So very vital area. In routine life, it promotes, right? It promotes social bonding. Social bonding. Very interesting features, right? And another one is that it keeps or it moderates testosterone level, right? So moderates testosterone level. So that is the function of this oxytocin. So we talked about these areas. Now let's go slightly something which we have not talked about. It is this area. See this area. Let me take a red color and that would be better. It's this one. This is what I'm talking about. So anterior commissure, right? You know this. Then this was the posterior commissure, habenular commissure. This one is the pineal gland. Then this was like quadrageminal plate, superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, right? This one is optic chiasma, right? That is optic chiasma. So what exactly the optic chiasma is? This is one eyeball, this is the second eyeball, they divided it into two parts, right? So they go something like this, right? It goes like this, it goes like this, right? So both the laterals, they will be going on to the same side. However, that's not the case when it comes to the medial part, right? The medial part would be crossing on the opposite side, and this medial part, it will be going on the opposite side. It is this area, right? It is this area is what is called as the optic chiasma. So that is the optic chiasma. This one. Okay. Pineal gland we already talked about. Right? This one, that one is the pineal gland. Pineal gland. Okay. So far we have talked about most of the structures. Now only few are left out, and then we'll go for a very quick revision. So in one image only, we'll nomenclate every structure, right? Just in one image. From this point onwards, things are much easier, right? Just this small portion, right? Do remember it? This is like interthalamic. So communicating between thalamus, interthalamic adhesions, right? Adhesions. Coming to the brainstem, this is midbrain, this is pons, and this is medulla oblongata. You know this part, so that's why I'm removing it, and I'm just writing the cranial nuclei number. So see, this is what? This one is midbrain, right? Then the pons and the medulla oblongata. Let's see all the things together. This is 3, 4. Cranial number 3 and 4. They are from midbrain, right? Nuclei 5, 6, 7, 8. They are from pons. Then all the way 9, 10, 11, 12. They are from medulla oblongata, right? Much easier. And over here, what was that? That was, right, quadrageminal. Right? It was quadrageminal plate. Superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, right? That's how it will be taking care of auditory and visual reflexes. So over here, this is midbrain, right? Midbrain. Cranial nuclei 3, 4, that's good to know. Remember two small things, right? Its importance will come later, but do remember that one. So let's write it in red color because its name itself is red nucleus. Red nucleus. And one more, substantia nigra. Bas. Substantia nigra. And cranial nuclei number 3, 4. Okay. Superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, clear. Quadrageminal plate, this is the pineal gland. Then posterior commissure, habenular commissure, this is the anterior commissure. This one would be the optic chiasma, that is our pituitary gland, right? All good. Cranial nuclei number 3, number 4, that would be for the midbrain, right? Then this is 5, 6, 7, 8, that is for the pons, right? So that is for pons, that is the pons over here, and medulla oblongata, that's over here. So all the way from 9, 10, 11, and 12. By the way, the level at which it ends, it's called as the obax. Right? It is called as the obax. So that is where medulla oblongata is finished, and there is the beginning of the spinal cord. Right? So when we say medulla oblongata, very, very important function, right? The respiratory center is lying over there. So it is for the breathing, the heart rate, handles the heart rate, handles the blood pressure. All those things, they are the part and parcel of the medulla oblongata. So now let's do the quick revision. It's like just putting everything together, right? Just in one image, we put everything together. And tomorrow we'll be taking the ventricular system, right? So in 5 minutes, we'll label all the structures, right? So let's start. So this is marginal sulcus, central sulcus. This is paracentral sulcus. This is parieto occipital, right? This one would be the calcarine sulcus, right? Continue with this. This is what? This one is all the way, and that is the cingulate sulcus, right? So central, central. This one is marginal, right? This is paracentral. This one is parieto-occipital sulcus. This one is calcarine sulcus, and or better write it over here, cingulate, right? So this is cingulate. This is the gyrus. This is the sulcus. Fine. In front, this is the medial frontal gyrus, done. Then this one is what in between is the paracentral lobule. Paracentral lobule was doing what? Well, it was 4, 3, 1, 2, and the 5. 4 was what? Primary motor. 3, 1, 2, they were what? Somatosensory. 5 was what? That association, right? Somatosensory association. So that is the part of, so this is the frontal lobe, right? Regarding this one is the precuneus, right? Precuneus. So this one was cuneus, right? And this is the calcarine sulcus. We talked about it. Parieto-occipital done. Then this is corpus callosum, right? Corpus callosum. So then on top of it, there would be sulcus for corpus callosum, right? This we have not yet touched, right? This portion, this coma shaped thing. Well, that is what is called as the septum pellucidum. Tomorrow it will come in more detail. But septum pellucidum is something which is transparent, right? It is like a transparent membrane, So that would be the part of the ventricular system when we'll be talking about it. Okay, then this is fornix, right? That is the fornix. If we say fornix, so then immediately we remember that this one is what? Mammillary body, right? Mammillary body, correct? So then over here, the pituitary gland, right? Pituitary gland. So then if that is the pituitary, then where is this pineal? Here is the pineal gland, right? Pineal gland. The structures which are associated this corpus callosum. So this portion, right? Let's zoom it. Let's zoom it so that there is no doubt. This one, that one would be the anterior commissure, right? That one would be the anterior commissure. Then this one would be the posterior commissure, right? Posterior commissure, and that's the pineal gland. We talked about it. And this one is the habenular, right? That one would be the habenular commissure. And this is the quadrageminal plate. This would be the superior colliculus. This one will be the inferior colliculus, right? Inferior colliculus. Zoom, right? And what is left out? This portion, that is the optic chiasma. Optic chiasma. And this is the midbrain, that's the pons. This is the medulla oblongata. And this is 3, 4 trochlear, and right, this is oculomotor and the trochlear. Then this is like 5, 6, 7, and 8. And finally 9, 10, 11, 12. Those are the cranial nuclei which are situated over here, right? So done. Right. So this is about the medial surface of the brain, right? So let's erase this entire thing, this part, right? This would be for the practice. So thank you so much, and we meet tomorrow, right? And tomorrow we'll be talking about ventricular system, right? Third ventricle, lateral ventricle, third ventricle, fourth ventricle, and the choroid plexus, etc. So from this point onwards, we'll proceed, right? We'll use the same image, and then we'll add something to that, and then later on we'll be adding some other areas, right? Yes, bolo, question. So that's why I've kept all these images free, right? Say I can even multiply these images. So do practice, like put all the areas into one image, right? Duplicate, right? So there are 4 blank images which you can practice. Okay, so thank you so much, and we meet tomorrow. Huh. Okay, high testosterone levels slows down aging. See, basically testosterone, as it has been misinterpreted, testosterone, it is a sex hormone. It is a male sex hormone, but it is fine that it leads to that sex drive and everything. But at the same time, it improves your muscle tone, right? Muscle tone, muscle power, right? Those things are needed. So many of the bodybuilders, if you see, so they'll be utilizing those supplements which are boosting the testosterone in artificial way, right? In the artificial way, though it's not very much advised, because when it is done, the natural form of testosterone, that would be suppressed. But still, those supplements, they are available in the market. And so when we say that it slows down aging, so it is this way, because as the age increases, the power decreases, right? Power decreases, every power decreases, right? Including the muscle power. So obviously the testosterone is so important. Same way, if you really see in case of females, right? When the females, they are young, so their estrogen levels, they are fantastic, right? So there'll be, everything would be fine, right? Their skin would be fine, and the body functions will be going good. But as soon as they start approaching towards the menopause, why it is said that there would be large mood swings, even the skin starts changing, right? It goes towards the aging process. Solution, they go for HRT, hormonal replacement therapy. What hormone replacement therapy is nothing but estrogen which is given, right? Estradiol 2 mg that is given, and on a daily basis. So once the estrogen level, artificially or naturally, once if it is high, then life is good, right? So basically it is not so that these sex hormones, they are meant only for the, say, sensual part, right? They are like important for the rest of the body functions also, right? So this is how it works. Okay, thanks a lot, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.